So Ryan Garcia and Conor Benn are scheduled to fight. So here is my perspective. So we're going to look at 8 ideas regarding this fight. So the first idea is that Garcia's most devastating shot, it wasn't a punch. It was calling Benn his second option behind Shakur. This to me is standard mind games, because what this is doing, this is what we call minimizing an opponent. And in doing this, he's trying to put Conor Benn down. But let's look at the objective reality. The reality is that Conor is a money machine and Ryan Garcia is a money machine. And collaboratively, the collaborative forces of these machines means that this is going to be a big fight. And in fairness, you have the British market, you have the American market, and you have a global market. So this fight makes complete sense. Now, the second idea, again, is from Ryan Garcia, and it's his perception that this fight is just all right for me, or is all right to me. And what Garcia is doing here is he's framing that Conor Benn is beneath him. So he's here and Conor Benn is here. Now, from a British perspective, I feel like the British public is skeptical of Conor. But it's important to understand if that skepticism is warranted. So let's briefly look into that. I think people, and the British public in particular, the British boxing public, did not like the negotiation process with Chris Eubank Jr. They did not like the rehydration clause because it was seen as unfair and immoral. What I would say is that I can understand that perspective, but I can also acknowledge that Conor Benn did show development in both of those fights with Chris Eubank Jr. And in both of those fights, the experience of those big fights will be valuable to him because he won't crumble under pressure. However, I can understand that rehydration clause that was put on Chris Eubank Jr. was seen as distasteful. And then the third idea is the Hatton comparison. And he stated that he'll get knocked out just like Floyd did Ricky Hatton. I'm not sure how I feel about this, but the first thing I will say is RIP Ricky Hatton. Ricky Hatton was a British boxing legend, a really good champion, a great champion, and he should be respected. Like I said, RIP. Initially, this came across as slightly distasteful. I guess this is marketing, and this could be seen as good marketing. But is there a line between good marketing and being distasteful? And was this really distasteful? I'm not sure. What I would say, though, is that a prime Ricky Hatton against a prime Ryan Garcia, I think a lot of people in boxing would fancy Ricky Hatton to win that fight. And then the fourth idea is that Garcia's technical read, his technical read of Conor is sharper than his trash talk, because he states that Conor Benn gets over himself, overcommits, and he leaves openings. I think what he's partially referring to here is that Conor Benn likes to punch through the target as opposed to at the target. However, I would contend that punching through the target is a good thing if you do it effectively. Mike Tyson punches through the target effectively. James Toney punches through the target effectively. Tommy Hearns punches through the target effectively. I think you get my point. However, if you overcommit and you're not effective, then you can be in trouble. Why could you be in trouble? Because then the counter window becomes bigger when you punch through the target. So this is an observation from Ryan Garcia. And then the fifth idea is that the explosive power split, the scouting report, Garcia on one hand rates Conor Benn's explosive feet and his high hands, but he has doubts. He has doubts as to whether Conor Benn actually hits hard. Indeed, Conor Benn does have good feet. He did show that in both Chris Eubank Jr. fights, particularly the rematch. And I believe Conor is physically very strong and he punches hard. But is he a power puncher? there is a distinction. You can punch hard, but not necessarily be a power puncher. I think Conor Benn is a hard puncher, but I'm not sure if he's a power puncher. And some would say that the second Eubank fight showed that he was a power puncher, but others would say that it was the rehydration that affected his durability or affected his punch resistance. But I think there is an interesting observation here that whether he's a power puncher or not a power puncher, he has enough power to hurt Ryan Garcia, and that is what counts. And then the sixth idea is that Benn's entire identity in this presser is the underdog. And I would say that a motivated Conor, or a motivated anyone, is dangerous. Conor, he has talent. There's no doubt he has talent. He has a good team. And from what I hear, he's very dedicated. He's a dedicated athlete. So anyone who is disciplined and prepared is dangerous. Remember, he also has a good team. Tony Sims is an underrated trainer. He's a good trainer, and he'll put together a good boxing environment and a good strategy. And then the seventh idea is Benn will do it within 4 rounds prediction, which to me is like a psychological gamble. First question, why did he say that? Is it simply good marketing? Is it a deflection from the real strategy? Some boxers are really Machiavellian because they'll say they're going to knock you out, but that means they're going to box, or they say they're going to box, but then they're going for a knockout. Also, listen to the language. Hopefully get him inside 4 rounds. Is that the statement of a confident person? I will knock him out in 4 rounds, or hopefully I'll knock him out in 4 rounds. Can you see the distinctive difference between those two statements? So again, does Conor Benn really believe this, or is this simply a deflection from the real strategy? And the final idea, the 8th idea, is that Conor Benn states, they, I guess being the boxing purists, don't hook with a hooker. And according to Conor Benn, that's exactly what he's going to do. And I agree with Conor Benn. You should never hook with a hooker. And, for example, you should never throw hooks with Joe Frazier in his prime, unless you're George Foreman. Now, Conor Benn should try to nullify and counter Garcia's hook. Nullifying his hook is a very important part of him winning this fight. Now, Garcia's left hook, not only is it powerful, it's fast, but it's short. He throws it very short, and he's able to get a lot of power in that short distance. It kind of reminds me of how Evander Holyfield used to generate power in his left hook. I remember in round 6 against Riddick Bowe in the 3rd fight, he threw this really short, powerful left hook that put Riddick Bowe down on the canvas. And I remember in the Mike Tyson fight, in the 1st fight, again in round 6, that counter short left hook to the chest caused a knockdown. And Ryan Garcia is able to generate that type of power. So Conor Benn needs to nullify this weapon, which leads to the question, how do you nullify this weapon? Well, you can step to the left to take away the angle. You can have your right hand up to block the punch, or you can take that half step back. There's various ways or various things that you can do. But the point is, it's not about the theory, it's about the application. But this seriously could be a great fight. Think of this. Ultimately, this fight may be decided by discipline, not emotion. Garcia maybe has the sharper counterpunching instincts and the more dangerous left hook. But Benn brings pressure, fitness, and genuine belief. The danger is that Benn turns motivation into recklessness and gives Garcia the openings he is already expecting. But if Benn can control his feet, protect against the left hook, and avoid chasing an early knockout, he can make this competitive. Garcia, I think, is the favourite, but Conor Benn has a chance. So that's the end of the video. Now I'm trying to build a digital boxing community, and that means I'm interested in your thoughts, I'm interested in your perspectives, and I'm interested in your observations. Now, if you want to support the channel, press like, hype, and subscribe. And if you want to watch more content like this, then simply click here or click here. As always, thanks for your time. It is much appreciated.